Third time is the charm, baby.
Podcast. I can't fucking believe how bad you are at running the soundboard.
I'm sorry. I'm going to try my best.
Oh my God, that was seriously not good. Okay, anyway.
I've taken over the studio.
Not at all. This is temporary. Guys, I promise I'll take over next time. Anyway, we are a pilot podcast. And I'm Logan.
I'm Frani.
I'm CL/Cody.
Yep, and right off the bat, if you guys are here to listen to the Cowboy Bebop live action review, we'll put the timestamps in the description and the comments. First, we're going to review the original show, and basically what we do on this show is we review a pilot first, tell you guys whether you should watch it based on the pilot alone, and then after that, we go into a spoiler section. So that will be like annotated in the timestamp. Yeah. So if you just want to hear a review of the pilot for the original Cowboy Bebop, if you want to hear just the pilot for the new Cowboy Bebop, those will be left there, and you can skip the spoilers. But if you want to just listen to us talk about everything in all Cowboy Bebop, this is the review for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fuck yeah.
Hell yeah.
We're gonna start with the which one are we starting with? Animated?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Anime.
You know, what some fun things.
Do you want me to read the wiki?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Cowboy Bebop is a Japanese science fiction neo-noir anime television series created and animated by Sunrise. The 26 episodes or sessions of the series are set in the year 2071 and follow the lives of a traveling bounty hunting crew in their spaceship called the Bebop. Although it incorporates a wide variety of genres throughout its run, Cowboy Bebop draws most heavily from science fiction, western, and noir films, and its prominent thematics include adult existential ennui, loneliness, and an inability to escape one's past. That was a fucking mouthful.
Basically, the main Western draw of it, other than the simple fact that it's called Cowboy Bebop and it has some Western styles to it, is it also plays a lot with a person's creed and like past and like what it means to like be oneself and like what a journey means for somebody and like you can't really escape that. You are who you are.
Kind of epic destinies too.
Yeah, exactly. Let's talk about the pilot first. Cody, this is your first time watching Cowboy Bebop, right? I think it's Franny's too. I watched it a lot as a kid, but it's my first time rewatching it. Probably since I was 18.
This feels heavy for a kid.
I know. I was definitely not prepared for it. Not to give any spoilers, but episode 20 used to give me legit nightmares. Throwing that out there.
I get it.
Oh, if it's the one I think you're talking about,
it definitely is. There's no way it's not. It's definitely the one that I knew you wouldn't like.
Yeah. Okay, so yeah, this was my first time watching Cowboy Bebop. I definitely was familiar with it because I grew up like into anime, and we would go to anime conventions, and you'd see people dressed up as like Spike all the time.
Yeah, this is like the penultimate. This is like the godfather of anime. This is like what's considered to be the best of the best, and I think the pilot totally gives you that. Like it definitely is like an elevated kind of anime that I think even people who aren't super weeaboo can get super into.
Definitely. Yeah. This doesn't feel like it's only for an anime audience.
Definitely not.
This feels like where did this like come out for? Was it
it came out in 1998 through Sunrise. It came to Toonami in like the early 2000s, I think.
Wow, okay.
Maybe even 99 even, because it was so big when it came out that I think, and also it's only one season, so people were like, you know, it was instant. Like as soon as it was out, it was just being ported everywhere.
Yeah,
I love it.
But I watched it on Toonami.
From like, I was literally about to say, you can tell it's from the early 2000s because the guy who voices Spike is Steve Blum, and he's the voice of the Toonami robot guy.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's funny.
And I remember thinking his voice was like hot as shit and being like, ooh, it's hitting me in a different place.
As a result, so is Spike.
Yeah.
We'll get to that.
Yeah, Spike's got a swagger about him.
But actually, yeah, that's one of the things I actually love about this is it's so early anime, but yet usually when you look at early anime being ported to English, like, you know, the dub, you get a lot of like kind of wonky voice acting. I feel like the voice acting in this, especially the pilot, because there's so many characters in this pilot, it's fucking awesome. Like it totally fits all the characters.
Agreed.
I love, and we're talking about the pilot here, like New Tijuana. I love, I mean, the red eye concept. Like it was such a fucking good pilot because you didn't have any history with these characters yet. They were already so defined and you got them instantly. Like you instantly get who these characters are, even though there's not a whole lot of time. I mean, it's a 22-minute episode and you know exactly who Jet and Spike are.
You don't need a lot of backstory for them.
No, they're just such characters in themselves.
Yeah. And like,
and it's almost like part of their character is the fact that they lack a backstory, and I really enjoy that about it.
Yeah, a bit of a mystique.
They're both hiding things from the outside world
and from each other,
and somewhat from each other. Yeah. But I also think in a way too, though, when you talk about each other, you get their general understanding through their banter with the Peppers, where like you can only shit talk each other in those dire of situations if you're friends. Like a Spike's character bitching about there being no beef in the Bell Peppers and beef is something that would upset somebody if they weren't close friends with them. But Jet just like played into it and was like, I call it special Bell Peppers and beef. And like that's like shows that they have like you know, rapport with each other and that they're friends. And like you understand the characters without understanding their backstory in this. And I think that's so important because sometimes, especially in anime, they're like the backstory is the character. And I don't think that's necessarily true. Like, you know,
definitely here it's not. Definitely not here.
I mean, Spike is just like, he's so much right off the bat where he's like, he doesn't want to do the bounty, but then he's going to TJ and he's like, you know, he's finding these people and he's like stealing their hot dogs and shit and being like charming, but also like a total sleazebag. And it's like, fuck, you just want to fuck him more.
Oh yeah.
Like if that dude stole your hot dog.
I mean, that suit.
Exactly.
He can keep it.
He can keep it. He can put it wherever he wants.
Yeah. Wherever he wants. Spike can fuck.
Right? Now,
Spike fucks for sure.
Dude, Spike fucks, bro.
He's fucked all around the galaxy.
For sure. He spiegeled all those women all over the place. Yeah, no, he's something else. But what I was gonna say is, what did you think about the red eye scene? Like when the guy puts the drugs in his system, how it kind of goes into like a psychedelic horror kind of thing. Like, I feel like that's like a really bold move to do right away at the start of an anime, like introduce like drugs and crime in the way they did. What was your whole thought on the red eye?
It has like a shootout also, and it's just, I found it a really interesting way to kind of set up the world in which, I mean, I feel like if you're thinking like fairy tale anime bounty hunter thing, you're probably thinking, oh, magical girls and anime blasts and shit like that.
There's going to be a talking cat somewhere. Murder. Yeah.
It literally was waiting for it.
Yeah. Not this one, buddy.
No. But I enjoyed that. Like, I really liked the red eye scene. I liked how everything was done in red. And it's like, oh, it's almost like the name comes from somewhere.
Right.
I thought it was really cool.
And just like how you had like, I wouldn't say he was handsome, but like a normal looking crook and like his beautiful pregnant woman. And then as soon as the red eye enters, you see the man's face be turned grotesque and bloodshot and angry. And it's really like, it's basically the show telling you like, it's not a kid show. Not a kid show. Mm-hmm. It's going to be definitely scary. It's
right away. And yet young Logan was like, here I am. Here I
go. I know, dude. And I'd watch it all the time.
How old were you when you watched this?
I was young.
This came out in 98 and it came to
Tsunami, like the 2000s.
2000?
I was probably between 6 and 8 years old.
Wow, that's insane. You should not have been watching this at 6 to 8 years old.
I mean, maybe like 10 at the youngest.
I mean, I think it's
at the
bit
oldest, sorry.
Mature for a 10-year-old.
Definitely. No. But the thing is, I was always kind of one of those weird adult kids, you know?
Yeah.
Where like I was always annoyed with like simplicity in my entertainment.
Yeah.
And Cowboy Bebop, dude, it was just like so fucking addictive too. because
it slaps.
Especially this episode. This is one that always plays in my mind. And I remember I was so young. I used to get this pilot confused with Trigun's pilot because they're both kind of like cowboy-esque, and I would like confuse the storyline sometimes. But this is a lot less innocent than Trigun. This one is, I mean, you know, there's mentions of like drug peddling, prostitution, murder, you know, government conspiracy. All this stuff is lightly talked about just in the first episode.
And I feel like that's all the back. Like, I like that they didn't waste our fucking time. Like,
no, and that's what I was going to get to. Cowboy Bebop, in this episode, is a great example. Has the best pacing ever. I mean, ever. You will get through a whole episode. It'll fully entertain you, and you'll be like, wait, it's already over? Because it's so fucking fast.
Yeah, they do not feel like 20-minute episodes.
Not at all, dude. And the thing is, you get so much out of it. And you think, at first you think, oh, it's 26 episodes with only 22-minute intervals each time. It's like, no, it still feels so full. Like, you're worried it's not, and it still feels like such a full series with everything that happens. But we'll get to that more. So what's something notable you found from the pilot, Cody?
I kind of like how it definitely sets up the crime syndicate. And the second I saw that bitch and saw she was pregnant, I was like, oh, she's faking it. She's faking it. But like, why?
Franny had no idea. She's like, oh my God, she's drinking beer, and was like, Logan, we can't watch this. This is fucked up.
I know. I was pissed.
And I was like, Franny, just get through the episode. I promise it's good. And Franny's like, I don't know. This is kind of fucked up. Like, I like it, but it's fucked up that she's drinking beer and she's pregnant.
I was like, why is this? Like, this is supposed to be a futuristic time. Like, they definitely should know that this is bad for her.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's pretty fucked up. I agree. But like,
she bamboozled me.
But then you find out that's where she's holding the red eye. And it makes sense because if all these people are chasing him for this red eye for multiple reasons, he's going to need a good hiding spot. No one's going to think to check the beautiful pregnant woman.
Yeah, of course not.
Do you think she wanted to fuck Spike?
Oh, yeah. Duh.
Yeah.
Duh.
I think she was willing to play Spike.
That's what I was gonna say. I'm like, I feel like she was playing him because
I don't think she wanted to fuck
the
Spike.
moment the dude came back, she basically helped orchestrate this dude to take down Spike and get away. And that's why I thought she was an interesting character, because she acted like she was falling into his charms, and we saw that, and then you just see it's a total switch.
And I like how the first episode...
I mean, she might have still fucked him, but that's irrelevant.
Right. I feel like she was playing him, but I really like how it's a cowboy, like, they're cowboys, and the first episode's like super Western in New Tijuana.
Definitely.
I think that's such a cool hook.
They had to.
I know. I really like that because, like, obviously it's space cowboys. They go other places, but like, it's so cool that you get that like down home Western feeling in the first episode.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, go ahead, Cody.
Sorry. I kind of feel like, back to like the little point about like maybe her playing him, I felt that way up until the very end, in which you watch her, spoiler alert if you haven't watched the pilot, in which she dies.
Mm-hmm.
I felt there was a very genuine moment where she was kind of like, I made a choice and this is where I'm at and I think I deserve this. But I almost feel like there was some sort of like camaraderie there, whether it was romantic or not, where she was just looking at Spike, and I felt it was like a genuine connection, whether it was romantic or not.
Yeah, there's definitely a genuine connection. I think, and we'll get into this in the spoilers, but
camaraderie is a good way to put it.
Yeah, camaraderie. I feel like Spike could relate to her situation, and we'll get into why in the spoilers.
And wanted to relate to her pussy. That's about
it. Maybe a little. It's weird that he wanted to fuck a pregnant chick, though, because he didn't know she's pregnant at first. Like he didn't know she wasn't pregnant at first. Like he totally bought that. So
he was trying to double impregnate
trying
her.
to fuck a pregnant lady. He's like, I'm gonna turn this into a Spike Spiegel. You know what I'm saying?
Oh God.
I'm gonna spike this egg.
Oh no. We don't play volleyball here.
The intro song, guys, Tank. What do you think about the introduction in general and the animation style?
So fun.
I mean, iconic.
Jazzy as hell. I
Jazzy
love it.
as fuck. And the best part is, and we'll get into this with the other show, is that Yoko Kanno, is that her name? Kanno?
Yeah,
like
Yoko Kanno.
She did music for the live action and this and the movie, which I haven't I've either seen it and don't remember it, or I haven't seen it at all.
Yeah, anybody out there that knows how to get their hands on this movie.
Yeah, it's actually really hard to get Cowboy
know.
Bebop the movie, by the way, guys. I've tried. I have an option of buying a District 2 Blu-ray player and then a $100 Blu-ray. I need a better option than that. Doesn't mean I won't eventually do it when I'm rich and famous. I'm just saying I'd like an option where it's like I pay $30 and I get a DVD or something. That would be fair to me. But yeah, the consistency of the show, one of the best things about the show is the jazziness. It's an entire character, and the way the characters move too, and the fight sequences and the shooting, it all feels like dancing. And it's like dancing to like these really intricate sessions of like pure freeform jazz. And
yeah.
That really kind of it fuels the universe. You almost feel like this is just a jazzy universe in itself. I mean, when the moments are sad, you get like really like sad, slow, melodic music, but it still has that like dirty, dusky jazz club feel to it. Even like the Western twangs that play, like for instance, like at the end of like when the girl is looking at him as she was like getting shot, you know, when like the fucking aircraft was exploding. The music that played there, I wouldn't necessarily call that super jazzy, but it still lives in that universe, and as a result, like totally plays into that scene where like it's a stark difference, but it's still totally a Cowboy Bebop identity. Like there was never a moment, even when they played like music that existed outside of the show, where the music felt like it was shoved in there. It always felt super organic.
I think I love that about this world is that not only does the music feel like a character, but also the world, their ships even feel like characters themselves.
Yeah, definitely.
It helps accentuate the world, and I feel like the music was probably my favorite part. I love that they're playing kind of jazz R&B over top of a cowboy thematically like heist situation. I loved it. This pilot was so great.
Is there anything else you want to say about the pilot before we get into spoilers, anybody?
Nothing particularly. No, I've said all I wanted to say. I just really like how it starts in like a Western style.
Yeah, and I think it's cool.
That's the highlight of it for me.
They explain to you the scope of the universe right away by not only showing the cowboyness and the westernness and the jazziness, but they literally show you in the most like not even like it doesn't feel like they're giving you information, but they are. Where Jet is jumping into the hyper like, you know, thing in the first episode and explain to you that like there's like these super highways they can travel on, as well as like you go to New Tijuana, thus exposing to you that the world is not in the same way it was. It's in shambles. And it did it
without like having to like sit there and be like a long time ago.
The world was destroyed by the gremlins. Yeah, no, there's none of that. They're just like, yeah, no, like meteor showers started happening, so now this is New Tijuana. It's pretty dope. Condos cost $3,000. Like, you know what I mean? Like everything feels just so lived in and real. That's the main thing.
It's so funny because like, oh, sorry.
Yeah. No, go ahead.
I was asking Logan. I was like, do you think the world's gonna be like this one day?
I think that. I mean, if we're talking like seriously about like colonizing other places, I mean. The world has an expiration date, and so thus does the human race if we don't eventually do something.
Yeah.
And I feel like there's people who are actively trying. Away from that. No, we're talking like 2250 or something. Like we're talking like hundreds of years.
Like 2071, not a chance. We're not gonna have a new Tijuana.
No. I mean, and not to be too specific, but there's a point where there's a flash forward and a flashback, and one of the times that includes spaceships in the show in a flashback is 2021.
So I know, clearly so weird, so crazy to see like the time that's happening right now, because the audience in 1998, that was 20 years in the future, you know? Fuck, they probably thought that could be possible.
Yeah, to some degree, they must have believed it. Yeah, definitely, or at least believed that it was feasible enough to put in a show that. Even though it's campy and has its certain things about it, also shares hyper-realism in it.
Yeah, that's what I meant by like it almost feels like the world could be like this one day, because like even though it is literally space cowboys, there is a lot of realism in the show.
Like nobody is what I call anime infallible in this, where like you can always count on a certain character surviving, because people like if someone's shot in this show, it heavily affects them. And that's that part of that hyper realism. So there is a part of me that thinks that they weren't, even though it is very fictional, they were trying to be somewhat realistic at the same time to add to like the edge and like the coolness of it. Which, by the way, these characters, and we'll get more into it in the spoilers, but I just love how like the ultimate rule of Cowboy Bebop is that it always has to be a little cool. I don't care if that's corny or not. I love the fucking like slow jazz, smoking cigarettes, fucking nightlife
little
attitude of it.
6-8-year-old Logan probably thought Spike was the coolest
Dude, I was
guy
like,
ever.
I have to be Spike when I'm an adult. It's gonna happen. It didn't happen, but it wasn't too far off.
All right.
I do whatever the fuck I want. That's true.
Right. Are we ready to talk spoilers?
Anything else last to add, Cody, about the pilot?
I'm ready. I'm
All right.
ready to talk.
Spoilers. First off, Franny has not seen 3 episodes because we've been really sick. She saw the ending. The only things we missed were the cyber cult, the cowboy, and the friend who Jet might fuck his daughter. We missed those 3 episodes. She did. I didn't.
I had a point about that one.
It's okay.
You can still give it because I know what it is.
Yeah, you can still give it.
Okay.
I'm not worried about spoilers or anything.
I'll just quickly say it so that it's out of the way. We were talking just now about the fact that like it's weird that there was a little shout out to 2021, and I was going to mention the father in that episode was born in 2021. That's what his gravestone said.
2021 to 2071.
Yeah, and that was just a point I was going to bring up, and I was like, I don't know if I can mention it before spoilers, but I thought that was really cool that we're kind of experiencing what people in the 90s thought potentially 2070 would be like, even though 2070 now in like our timeline is probably going to be a lot different. But
yeah,
I just thought that was super interesting.
Maybe more people living in domes kind of thing.
Oh,
I mean, domes are okay if they protect us. That's sick.
Love a dome. I have one myself.
Love a nice couple.
All right. Let's talk about some of our favorite episodes. Well, actually, let's talk about Faye because she's not in the first episode. Faye is the best.
Yes.
Is one of the best characters, not only in the entire show, but in all of anime. And I stand by that.
Agreed.
And the reason why is because she's a female character who is agreeably sexualized, right? But the difference is
100.
with all the other animes, when girls are sexualized in anime, it's always something that's proposed onto them and something that they're almost like blissfully unaware of. With Faye, it is her weapon. She uses that for her, and she's unapologetically annoyed by everyone, and is always going to like the first person she's always concerned with is herself.
Yeah.
And it's not even like in a selfish way. It's in a like, she's just on another level than you. Like, she's going to find a way out because she's better at all of this than you are. And that's why she's a fucking dope character. I love Faye Valentine. I think she's the shit.
She is
her
the
whole,
shit.
like, she's great. And I feel like her character has aged really well, which I can't say a lot about like early 90s and late 90s anime. I feel like there's definitely
especially
some
with
things
women.
that I'm like,
yeah,
okay.
I mean,
especially with women.
I mean, like every other anime you look at from this time period, or like even like, let's be frank, dude. Let's even now, like there's tons of characters, female characters in anime. Like, not to be spoilery, but if you look at Death Note, like Misa, or like you look at, Dragon Ball Z, it's always women who are cooking meals at home and never fighting. And
Faye's a bad bitch.
Faye is literally like, not only is she deadly and weaponized everything, she might be the most deadly person on Bebop.
Yeah.
And nobody talks about it.
So cool.
She's the she's the Bond.
Her outfit is iconic.
For sure.
And her backstory is so fucking cool.
Yeah, her backstory is just so intense. Like a woman, it's almost like a woman out of time story. But instead of it being like she's out of time, so she's lost, it's like she's out of time, so in a way she's lost. But also at the end, you kind of come to the conclusion that she's found herself.
Yeah.
And it's still. I mean, obviously, of course, like the ending is super fucking sad, but especially in regards to her and Spike. I mean, that whole situation. I mean, okay, we'll get to the ending before we get into the ones we like, because I feel like it's so relevant. First, what do you think about Edward and Ein leaving? What were your thoughts on that?
I'll be completely honest. There were times I really liked Ed, and there were times I really didn't like Ed. So Ed wasn't the reason I was kind of like bittersweet about it, but the fact that Ein like chased after her and was like, "No, I'm going with you," I was like, "What?"
Precious.
And the reason why that's such a good ending for those two characters, and I'll talk about Ed in a second, but in the episode where they're all taking shrooms, if you pay attention to that episode, the whole time Ed's out in like town and like collecting fucking psychedelic mushrooms and things of that nature, you notice that Ein is protecting her consistently. And what you learn is like, of course, Ein is like the super smart, like super dog, and is like a fucking great character in his own right. What you come to learn is like, Ein, wants to explore the world and not just sit in a spaceship. And Ed needs somebody to take care of her or him, whatever. Well, here's the thing. The creator once said that, like, yes, the show made Ed a girl in order to like fill out like the male-female register for the anime because it's the 90s. But he has always maintained that Ed is above sexuality. That Ed was non-binary in the 90s where nobody on television would accept that.
I feel like they hint at that with the dad character when 100%. He's like, my son or my daughter.
And also the fact that Edward is just a perpetual kid. Yeah. And if you're annoyed by Edward, it's because kids are fucking annoying.
Yeah, definitely.
And I think that it's okay for you not to always like that character, but you should always respect what that character is. And like understand how it's written. Go ahead.
Yeah. Well, I always really liked the fact that like the dad was non-committal, and it made so much sense that Ein, who is a dog, and dogs are like known to be loyal, that is their diehard trait, and that he's protecting them. And I feel like it was the perfect ending, even though it wasn't an ending. It felt like, oh, are we getting an Ed spinoff show? Where is that at?
I think it's also just like, I mean, maybe I'm speaking out of turn because I'm not the person who wrote the show, but I just think the episodes that preceded after, it's just so heavy that I feel like there isn't a place for Ed and Ein. You know what I mean? Mm. And that's why it's also good that they got them off.
They'd be put in a lot of danger.
They would probably be dead. Let's be totally real. The reason why Faye and Jet lived is because they are fucking mercenary level survivalists. Yeah. That's the whole reason they were able to survive. Ed's more of like a free spirit and like a genius, sure, but at the end of the day, that's a kid.
Yeah.
And Ein is a fucking dog.
And we know
Ein's smart, but Ein's a dog.
And we know Ed has another place to go to too. Like he knows where, or she knows where.
It doesn't matter how you.
I know. Ed knows where that family, or those other kids and the nun are.
And not only that, but Ed's the kind of character that can make friends wherever Ed goes. Yeah,
exactly. And like Logan said this to me too, because I was like, oh, like, when's Ed coming back? And he was like, he spoiler alert, he doesn't.
Or she doesn't.
They
They call her a cowgirl,
sorry,
so we'll say she for the sense of the anime, but totally acknowledge that Ed is above sexuality.
Yeah. I was like, when does she come back? Like, when do her and Ein come back? Like, do they come back for the ending? And he was like, no, like, she doesn't. And you said it to me like she's just not a bounty hunter. Like, no, she's not.
This is not her creed. Yeah,
that's not her epic destiny.
And the whole show is about people's full destinies and their creeds. And I think that's why FaZe is so interesting to me too, because she kind of figured out that her destiny is to just be. Like she needs to quit obsessing about what she had and start just existing in what she is. And that's why she came back. And that's why it makes sense that she's still with Jet at the end, because Jet, she's just going to take over that spot for Spike, because Spike this whole time has been living an empty shell, a ghost of the former person he was. He isn't real. He's existing in purgatory because his whole life he just left because he had to. And that's why when people get upset at the ending that he went and he got himself killed and all this shit, like he had to kill Vicious, or Vicious would have came after everyone he cared about. But also, he needed to end the cycle of the Syndicate because all this death and mayhem he was once a part of. And then thirdly, like, he needed to end this arc of his life. It always was his destiny to finish Vicious. It was always his destiny, unfortunately, to lose Julia. That's how it was always going to be. Yeah. And he just had to go do it because he was delaying the inevitable, living as a ghost. It's like how that cat story went. when he talks about the striped cat living 1,000 lifetimes and being unhappy, and then living one good lifetime, but unfortunately, an ending. And he's like, well, that's, he's like, I don't like cats, but like, obviously he was talking about himself.
Yeah.
Fucking brilliant show.
Deep as fuck.
So good.
I really enjoyed the fact that it was so grounded in the fact that characters like Ed and Ein left, and then you had Faye who kind of came and went. And I like the idea of the Bebop is like this ever-changing cast of characters even after Spike is gone, to the point that like the Bebop could be in its own show. Like Spike is the main character, but Spike isn't like the main character at the same time.
Yeah. I like to think that Spike, it's really an ensemble, and like it's really the ensemble of Jet, Spike, Ed, and Faye. And even though those characters are not always omnipresent, like they're not always there, like it really worked its best when all four were there. Even if you don't like Ed, I understand that there's people who are annoyed by Ed. There's an element of innocence that is kind of missing sometimes, and I think when you throw that element in there, it gives you a new perspective sometimes on the villains they're facing, on the situations that they're stranded in. It gives you a perspective that you would have never gotten before that enriches the whole story.
And it gives some like heart to the characters too, especially like Jet.
When fucking Spike taped the propeller to the Bebop though.
Yeah.
God damn it.
Wholesome.
Or and another thing is people are always upset. Why does Ed always talk in the third person? It's like, well, didn't we just discuss that like Ed's non-binary? Maybe Ed doesn't like the gender themselves.
Yeah.
Like when you think about it that way, you're like, well, shit, that makes some more sense. Like I know a lot of people are upset about the way Ed talks. And Ed doesn't like to
gender anybody.
Exactly. True. Always refers to people by their names.
Yeah, or like father person, Spike person,
Spike person,
Jet person.
Mm-hmm. Above sexuality.
Faye.
Faye. And like with Faye too, it's like Faye was kind of. I think that oddly enough, this group of kind of cold people warmed her up in a way, because she's like, oh, I can relate to these people. They speak in terms that I fully understand. We're gonna go do this. We're gonna get the money, and then we're gonna leave. Yeah. And after a while, she's like, oh, I can depend on these people to help me do those things and to make sure I don't die. That's something she never had before.
And I love it because she never loses her character, because she's still sort of holding them at an arm's length, even though you can feel her getting more comfortable.
If anything, her character is what keeps them on. Like, you know what I mean? Like, her being herself is kind of what glued everything, in the same way like Spike being himself.
They're a little family. They all care about each other.
Definitely.
I like at the end too, like the final moment with Spike and Faye, when they share something personal about each other. Yeah. And like they never really did that before, they said.
Wait, hold on. Can we pause real fast?
Yeah.
Real quick.
Second.
Yeah, just pause your timer too.
We're back.
What up, kids?
What up, kids?
We're talking about the Bebops and the Cowboys that do the Bebop.
Those Cowboys really do be bebopping.
Sorry, we had to stop for a second. I'm feeling deathly ill, but I want to get this review out. Okay. You were talking about the Spike stuff and everything. What do you guys think about the sudden death of Julia? Like the incredibly sudden death. What do you guys think about it?
I think it was artistic. I think it made sense. It fucked me up when like you couldn't hear what she said.
Yeah,
I was like, "What the fuck did she say?" Logan, go back.
I had to lie to Franny because I knew what she said, but you don't know it then. I was just like synapses of the brain, which is such a fucked up thing to say.
I was thinking about that after. I was like, "What?"
But that does happen. That's what the show was trying to make you think.
Yeah.
That was the goal. But Franny's too smart. She's like, it must mean something. And then the heterochromia iridius finally being explained. Like, he doesn't just have two different colored eyes. One of his eyes is fake. And that speech he gives Faye, which, by the way, I think he totally could have fucked Faye before he left. I think that was on the table, and she told him it was on the table.
Oh my God, I definitely wanted to watch that happen
For sure.
Any table.
There's a lot of hints that, like, maybe there isn't, like, a super hard connection between them. But, like, remember when he's talking about, like, well, he keeps mentioning, like, you know, she's back, blah, blah, blah. Like, he's talking about the love of his life, and then he goes, she's back, and he's like, what? And then you see that it's Faye, and it's like, those sentences were technically two different sentences that just happened to be around the same conversation. But it was still cool to see that moment where it was like, oh shit, there probably totally could have been something, but
It does feel like they're setting up for like them to have a potential romance. And I think he does have they all have a love for each other, you know?
Definitely,
he definitely loves Faye in a way.
I feel like Jet, even though he's like, you know, not as much older than him, he really does kind of act like this dad-like character, you know?
Yeah.
Especially 100%. For
100%.
Edward and Ein. Like he really protects those two. And I always liked that.
It feels very like brother-sisterly with him and Faye too. With Jet.
Definitely.
Like, it feels like it's his little sister.
The only comment where it was like, damn, Jet, what's the fuck, Faye, was when Faye was like, where's the guy with the scruffy hair? And he's like, why couldn't you just say, where's Spike? And he like rubbed his bald head.
Oh.
That was so good.
I just want to backtrack for 1 second.
Go ahead.
Say, so the whole Julia thing, I kind of enjoyed the idea that we had like this mystical creature that was Julia in the background the whole time. And there's like a lot of intrigue. There's a lot of mystery. There's a lot of flashbacks. And it almost felt very fitting that she went so suddenly that we barely got any time with her, because it was like, it's what made it feel like it was real. Like this is a glimpse of his life and he just got her back. And of course he loses her like that. And I feel like it really worked, even though I would have liked to have seen more of her. Like her voice actress is Mary Elizabeth McGlynn, who I'm in love with. And so I really like this iteration of Julia, and we'll talk about it in the second half, but I really liked her, and I was sad that we didn't get more of this Julia, but I felt like it was fitting. I liked it. It worked.
Yeah, and like the thing is too is people kind of argue all the time like she was so mystical and this and that and the other, and then when she met him or when you saw them interacting with each other, it was very much like she was a totally normal person. But Faye is the one who really tied it together when she goes, she's totally ordinary, but that kind of ordinary that's like incredibly beautiful and you're obsessed with. And it's like, damn, fucking Faye nailed that. Also, her and Faye totally should have done some hot shit in that car.
Oh, yeah.
I was hoping that she would just be like, forget Spike. And like they both just like take off their clothes and like,
yeah, for sure,
bebop those cowboys. And I'm like, hell yeah, bro. But it didn't happen.
I'm sure there's so many fake videos.
That little yellow jumpsuit, dude. Yikes.
I like how Julia stays a mystery. You know? I didn't feel like we needed a bunch of Julia backstory because we got it all through Spike. And also, the way she died was very like magical in a way. You know, very like artistic. It was a full circle thing where it's like, okay, she's. I think the gist you get through Vicious, which by the way, Vicious is such an important character. And it's crazy. He is like the big bad of the show, but there's something extra to Vicious. And I think what it is he's really like the dichotomy, like the dual side of what Spike is. There was a point in time that they very barely discussed, but at a point in time, Vicious and Spike were more like two of the same guy. And then they split and became two completely different things. You know what I mean? They're like cut from the same cloth. And it's really shown, especially in the finale, where they both understand the finality of their battle to the point where they even toss each other their weapons. And they're like, okay, you're the sword guy, I'm the gun guy. Like that like wouldn't a person who truly like desperately wanted to kill the other one would just take whatever item they had and just shove it or shoot it in whatever direction they can? But that's not the point. It's a dance.
They all, exactly. That's exactly what I was getting. You literally took it out of my mouth. The whole show's a choreographed dance. And in this, the biggest dance of Spike's life has always been with Vicious. And that's why that finality, that moment where it finally ends, and Spike wins, but he also loses in like a weird way. Like ultimately, I think he considers it a win, but everybody who cares about Spike would consider it a loss, obviously. And it's
I feel like they're
Go ahead.
Sorry, go on.
No, you go ahead.
I feel like they're a prime example of nature versus nurture, but like on the nature side, where they both had sort of the same upbringing. And I mean, Spike cut out at a certain time, but it's all about their nature. Like Vicious is vicious, and that's 100% in his wheelhouse. And Spike is just like this guy with a good heart. And I think it's super interesting to watch these two people who came from the same place. They did a lot of the same things. They would be considered villains in a lot of people's stories.
Definitely.
And then you see
especially Spike.
him
Like
branch
Spike's
off.
done some horrible shit that nobody talks about. I mean, there's literally a character. I think it's Sig or Sick or something like that. The one brother of the guy who lives, Sid maybe. That character. There's basically twin brothers, and one of them dies when Vicious fights that person with the tits. I don't know if you remember that episode. That episode's awesome.
Yeah.
That brother dies, and this brother's alive, and basically helps Spike get through everything. And I think that that's yet again another example of them two. Like, I think that those twins play out the same idea, where like they're exactly the same on paper, but one went the way of Vicious and literally died by his hand almost willingly. Like, he jumped in front of a bullet, right? And then the other one was like, I was waiting for you to come back and take over, Spike. But the idea that he's like, Spike could run the syndicate means that he knows that Spike has not always been a good person. Spike has been such a despicable person in the past that he could run an evil syndicate, the most evil in the world. So that's something you got to understand about him is he's basically like a rehabbed supervillain in some ways, and nobody talks about it.
Agreed.
And it's crazy.
It is crazy.
It's what makes him so sexy.
Oh yeah, 100%.
I love the shootout bounty hunter show. I think that adds so much aesthetic to the show, and it's brilliant and really funny. It's like a great vehicle to explain things to us as viewers without it feeling like a character turns and goes, this is Monty blah blah, he did blah 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 blah. Like, instead it's like, oh shit, the fucking roundup is like starting right now, like fucking Woody's roundup and shit.
It's fun.
It's so fucking fun. And
they have a character arc. It's so good.
I know.
Like, literally, you watch them go from like, literally, he's on a ship leaving with his grandma because now he doesn't have a job, so he can take care of his mom now or whatever.
The episode where the shootout is canceled is one of the ones that me and Franny skipped. So right before it happened, I had to pause and be like, Franny, that show got canceled. That's all you need to know. And then she saw it happen in real time, and she didn't pick up that it was him right away until he was like, the lady was like, what happens to your co-host? And it's like, oh, she married her manager. And what's great is that there's an ongoing meme in like the show where like she's always like, I'm gonna talk to my manager about this, like whenever she like snaps off, and it's like, oh shit, she married her manager, like she was fucking the manager. That's how she got all this shit done for her. Crazy.
Amazing.
That's a real arc. A real arc is that woman was fucking her manager to get that job.
Like, I love that this TV show had an arc inside of a TV show doing its own arc. It's just the show is amazing. Yeah,
and I mean, there's just so many. Like, there's only, I believe, you correct me if I'm wrong, there's only 2 episodes that are 2-parters, so like 4 technically, but there's only like 2 arcs that are 2-parters, and that's the very end, and then the 2-parter where Faye's basically run off, and then there's this character who was captured and experimented on with experimental drugs, and then essentially, grows male and female parts. And that's something that people argue has aged terribly. No. But I have the opposite argument.
Yeah, same.
I think that if you look, there's a thing called transvillainism in cinema or something along those lines. I'd have to look it up. But it's this idea, especially in horror movies, that trans characters are used to either be scary or stupid. Mm-hmm. Like if you look at not Cabin in the Woods, Sleepaway Camp. The end of the movie, the big shocker, sorry to spoil anybody. Spoilers for Sleepaway Camp. This is important, though. It's an important thing to draw. Spoilers for Sleepaway Camp. At the end of Sleepaway Camp, you find out that not only is the killer the nice girl, but she's actually a dude, and that's the big shocking reveal. Things like that weren't that long before Cowboy Bebop came out, and just remember how sophisticated and smart and genuine the character was in this show. Like, even if you want to be like, oh, Faye reacted poorly, like, I mean, come on, like, how do you expect her to react in this situation? But at the same time, it's like, by the end of the show, not only were you rooting for that character, but Spike was literally like, whatever you want to accomplish, if you want me to, like, get you in the ship so you can fly somewhere, sure, like, whatever you need. Do you want me to get you to a hospital? Like, these characters are fully accepting of this because, like, obviously they should be. And that's super woke for the time. Any other anime that had anybody who was trans or anything like that in their show, they would be treated like a goof character or a ridiculous character.
If anything, they kind of treated him like a goddess.
A little bit. They every light and every shade that he was drawn in was gorgeous.
Mm-hmm.
Like the shower scene, as like insane as it wasn't ever like, oh, this person's disgusting. You're like, oh shit, this person has another element I did not see coming. And then when you think about it, it's even crazier because there's literally an explanation for why he's there. And it's the fact that, like, he's living in a place where there's not a lot of women. So he came there because he wants to be happy with, men. And that's cool. And I'm okay with that. And that's what the show was trying to say. Like, he's there for that reason. And that's good for fucking him.
Honestly.
Thoughts, Cody?
I love that episode. I think the character's name is Gren. I want to say
Gren, like, yeah, it is like, it's like Gren. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah,
I always thought it was Gren until I like watched it with subtitles on.
And I really love the character. It's someone who, like, they played the saxophone, and that's kind of how they bonded with Faye, and how he kind of intertwines the Julia stuff, because there was someone that used to request the same song every time they would see him play. And I just thought there was something very beautiful and delicate about his character before he was even, like, his whole redemption arc was even revealed, in which he's like someone who has been hurt by Vicious. And I just found him very alluring. And I really enjoyed that episode, those two episodes.
And this whole planet is like, or this, whatever rock in the universe, whatever it was. This whole place is drawn in such crude and horrible lighting. These characters are misogynistic, gross, like, they're harassing the one attractive looking woman. And then there's this other character, which before you know anything, is just showing a general kindness.
Yeah.
And, like, I don't know, that warms you up to the character. And even after there's this big reveal and, like, yes, like, ties up Faye, but in order to, not have his plan essentially eliminated, this character has, like, an awesome arc after that. And there was never a point where, even when Gren was doing things I didn't want that character to do, I always was excited for that character to be on screen. It was always interesting to watch that character.
Agreed.
And the backstory's fucking nuts. That's an insane backstory too, and like really fucking interesting and wild and crazy. Because like that's also a truth in our world, is like there is like soldiers are mistreated and experimented on, and it was just interesting to see that take. I do think that like we'll get into other iterations, but I feel like it's really good that they had this specific iteration in this moment in time. I feel like it wasn't tone deaf at all. It was actually pretty woke.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Frani, what was your favorite episode?
My favorite episode, I'd say, was the one where Faye goes back to like, where she has all those flashbacks.
Oh, the one where Ed leaves and everything, the hard luck woman or bad luck woman or whatever.
Hard luck woman. Yeah, that was my favorite episode.
That's a really good episode. And it's one where like not even a lot really happens action wise at all. The only action in the whole episode is fucking them fighting Ed's dad.
Yeah.
But that just like ripped my heart out when Ed's dad was like, "Oh, you want to come with us?" and then like literally left her like within 3 seconds
instantly.
Of saying that.
And like you could tell Ed was bummed.
And she's just like, "That person's gone."
But I think Faye's statement held true, where she was like, you belong somewhere. Go find it. And it's like, she's right. She's not a bounty hunter. Like, she may love these people and these people love her, him, whatever you want to say. Not trying to gender Edward. But people loved Edward. And it's like, she understood that, but like, you need to go find your own. Like, you're not supposed to be a bounty hunter. That's not what you like to do.
No. It was a sweet ending to Edward being with them. But
on top of that, a sweet ending for Ein and a great ending for Faye's arc of like, I will retrieve the past. I will find out who I am.
And I like the message of like, you don't have to let the past define you. You can move on and be who you are meant to be now. I think that's a good message, and I like how it was a strong female character coming to that realization.
Mm-hmm. And I love the scene where she draws herself a bed in the dirt because it's right where her bed was in her old house.
Yeah.
You're like, fuck.
It was so sweet.
Mm-hmm.
It was so sweet.
I think the earlier episodes in the show, although like Faye and Edward weren't there were some really, really fucking cool concepts. There was like that weird, like basically like new form PETA cult that was gonna poison everybody. I think that was Faye's second episode. That's a fucking great episode, dude. I love that episode. And then obviously, Franny didn't get to see this one, but I'll show it to her eventually. The cowboy episode with the teddy bear bomber. I thought that was cool.
Cowboy Andy.
Yeah, that was such a good one. But also like, what's great about a lot of these episodes is there is a through line, obviously, with the plot, but you can grab any of these episodes and watch them isolated. Yeah, and they totally work. Like, I love the ode they did to Alien. That episode with that virus in the ship was so fucking cool and scary. Cody, what was like the one that like really stood out for you?
I have two.
Go ahead. I would love to hear.
So they were also back to back, so it was just like hit after hit, slam after slam, and I was like, "This is my shit." Mushroom Samba.
Mushroom Samba is so good.
I can't decide if Mushroom Samba is my favorite episode or like. There's so many good ones.
Bro,
Fuck.
the ending where he's like, they have the bag of mushrooms, and you're freaking out because they're about to go to super space jail, and you find out. And there's shiitake mushrooms, and in a weird way, that was the best result because they had no food.
It was so like, good. And literally, they're like, "Can we stop eating mushrooms?"
Also, when she went and got the mushrooms for them, and they like left them all on plates, and she knows that something fucked up's gonna happen, but she's like experimenting and watching them eat them. Was fucking. That's one of the moments where people are like, I don't like Ed. I'm like, dude, Ed's the funniest fucking character. She wanted to see them trip out. That was my favorite
part about Ed.
Dude, when he's walking up the steps and he thinks he's walking up like a huge flight, and he's just walking on the same step over and over again.
That episode was so fun.
As someone who has experienced shiitake mushrooms maybe before, I don't know, possibly accurate.
Yeah. Just the moment they're like, oh.
Dude, when Jet starts talking to his bonsais about life.
Oh yeah.
Bro. Also, like, there's so much of me that's like, yeah, sure, he has a bonsai garden. That was totally like them getting away with him just like having a weed garden on his ship. That's just so that character. And then there's an episode where he's open about how much he loves weed with that weird character he played in the cowboy episode where he's wearing like a pot leaf and he's like, "What's wrong, man?" Do you remember that part?
I don't.
So they go to this ball and they know that the teddy bear bomber is going to be there. And
my gosh,
yeah, and he's like dressed up like a stoner. He's like, you need to chill the fuck out, man, and it's awesome. It's the best. But yeah, okay. So the mushroom episode's incredible.
Mushroom Samba
is so good. Yeah. I loved Faye being stuck in the bathroom. Super funny. But also their trips weren't just funny, they were real too. Like there was elements of like just little cuts in of each of their backstory, just a tad. Just like the slightest cut of like, yes, this is what happens when you do mushrooms. It's mostly fun, but you might touch the universe a little bit.
Yeah.
And then also when Ayn ate the mushroom and was just hopping around and couldn't walk.
He was like a fucking spoink. It made me laugh. I was like choking on water.
At first, Franny was upset with the moral quandary that came with the dog eating mushrooms, but I made a point to her. I'm like, this dog is as smart as a human being, though.
Yeah, this isn't a normal dog.
Yeah, this is a dog that they openly go has like the fucking intelligence, is the most intelligent person on the ship.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But okay, so you loved that one.
You said it's tied between two. What was your other one?
Wait, one other thing about the mushroom episode. I love that they made people believe that they were being kidnapped basically on accident. Remember how she hid in that lady's trunk?
Yeah.
And she was like, "What the fuck?" And all these cops like, "Oh yeah, you just had a dog and a little girl in your trunk. Totally. That's what I'm totally going to believe." And then she sees them walking and she fucking runs out of there and tries to catch them, basically to prove her innocence, essentially. And she still doesn't get them, and that kind of fucks me up. She probably went to jail. What
happened to that lady?
She probably went to jail.
I know, that makes me sad.
They should just do a whole sideshow just about her escaping from jail.
I loved her, to be fair. She was amazing.
A good sideshow would be her running into Ed and Ein and them joining forces. That'd be a good show. I'd watch the fuck out of that. What was your second one, Cody?
I would love that. I can't forget about that. Okay. My other one is I want to say it Speak Like a Child, and it's basically the whole time when Faye's like betting on dogs or horses, and then everyone else is finding stuff out about her backstory while she's just gambling.
Oh, and they're out getting the Betamax copies and flying all over the place. Yeah, that episode's great. And then Winnie, I know so much about VHS and Beta that Franny was like, "You're that guy." I'm like, "Fuck you!" Like the guy who owned the store, who was like all nerdy and shit. Like, this is a priceless Betamax, clearly the superior option. But that is me though. That's just
a sweet episode because it shows how much they care about Faye.
But also how intrigued they are to find out about that bitch.
Yeah.
But when they come all the way back with a VHS and they're like, fuck. And then they find out that someone just mailed them the beta. Like they just mailed them the beta player. It was just late in transit. The part that does confuse me about that though, and maybe someone else explained it. So it said to send her that in 10 years, right?
Yeah.
But this is 50 years in the future. Who sent it?
I don't know. I don't think anyone ever said.
And that's why I'm like, man, they're really like, I understand the creator wanted to make the show concise and like basically like play out like an album. It just has these certain sessions and then it's done. It's literally like a jazz album. You get this amount of tracks and then it's over. And I get that about it. And it definitely adds the aesthetic. But there were things that weren't tied up. And that's one of them.
And that's something that I will say. I hope it is talked about in the next in the live action iteration. I'll just say that.
Okay, cool. Spoilers. I didn't finish the live action iteration, but I got an idea. But we'll get to that. Well, I gotta say what my favorite episode is. I think I'm gonna go with I can't ever pronounce it, but basically the one with the dude who's like a super killer, like the horror episode with the
Mad Piero,
yeah, whatever. That was
definitely tied.
That scared the fuck out of me as a kid.
Yeah.
It scared the living shit out of me. It was so fucking scary. And when I rewatched it, I thought, oh, I'm not going to be that scared this time. No, it's still fucking scary, guys. It's still really scary. It's super scary. It's a really scary episode. Basically, it's this fucking guy who was being experimented on consistently at this lab, and they were trying to turn him into a super killer machine, but it was causing his brain to degenerate. And he escapes, and he has like the mentality of a young child. And there's this cat that he's seeing in the lab every single time he's being worked on. And this cat has 2 different eye colors. So the whole time, the whole episode, you're seeing him be afraid of cats, shoot at cats, even though he's like this perfect killer machine that like, basically if he sees your face, you're fucked. He's never going to stop until you're dead. And then like Spike shoots him this look with his 2 different eye colors, and he gets that sense of the cat, and like because of that, Spike throws him off of his rhythm, throws that knife into him, and the dude like of course can't handle even the slightest punch or like scratch because he's a child, so he starts getting on the ground and crying, and then he's crushed by a giant animatronic. So that's insane. But the whole episode, once like it's all really scary and stuff, but once they're at Space Funland or Spaceland or whatever, the aesthetic is horror Disney World. It is so scary. There's animatronics he's shooting to death. He's hiding inside of rides, and like the elements that are built to like save children from hurting themselves, like something like, you shouldn't be here. You shouldn't play here. This is not where for kids to play. You should go outside. That's built in there because it's like kids would wander off at this park and hurt themselves. But it adds this element of something so fucking creepy, of this monotonous repeating line from this angel while he's being hunted to death. And it's so fucking aesthetic and cool. And it also shows how much Faye cares about Spike, because she goes there against everyone's like, like don't go there, don't risk yourself. Because the moment this guy sees Faye's face, she's now on his list too. If he doesn't die here, she is going to die. And that adds a whole nother element that she did that for Spike. She's starting to care about other people. Great episode.
Great episode. Cody, I want to know what you thought of this episode.
I'm dying to hear what he thought about this. I know this one he did not like.
Hated it. Wanted to die. Hated
Really?
this.
So scary.
Literally, I was like, oh my God, it's hit after hit after hit. This is so great. This is so great. And then it got to that episode and I was like, fuck this. I almost turned it off because if there's one thing I hate more than horror, it's clown horror. And so
Oh no.
I just did not fuck with this.
You didn't like
at
his
all.
super smiley face and how you could hear his teeth grit together? You didn't like that?
I wish you would shut your mouth. Thank you.
No, but I think even though you didn't like it, you fully accept that it was a well-crafted episode, though, right? Like, you understand that, even if you didn't like
and
it.
it's aesthetic as hell, too. Like, it works. It does its job really well. But I did not enjoy my time.
Like, whenever I think of Cowboy Bebop, there's a couple of flashes of images I get. And one of them is obviously the space scene in the TJ episode where, like, the vials are floating all over space and she's dead. Another one is obviously the church scene, like the church window scene where Spike's fighting Vicious. And then the third one is when Spike gets the call from Jet and goes, I don't need the information anymore. These three things consistently come to my mind when I think of Cowboy Bebop. And I think it's because that was like the first time, I think in like all of the show, where like they didn't need this super intense, convoluted, let me struggle to have this victory. It was the first time where it happened just because Spike played to his strengths and that's all he needed to do. And I think that made it really fucking crazy, but also super scary because every second you're like, fuck, Spike's gonna die, isn't he? Because this dude is really good at killing people and Spike is not that great at not getting shot at by him. He gets shot like twice, which is way more than he gets shot in like the rest of the show.
It feels good too that like character died. It almost feels like a mercy killing.
It really
he was tortured.
It was torture for him to be alive. But also, there is a part of me that's like, man, if he would have gone away, though, what a great return character. Like, what a great, like, looming presence. More than just the Syndicate, but also you have to look for this mad fucking assassin who's chasing you. But at the same time, I also think that might have hurt the jump-inness of the show where, like, you can pick up on any episode. And I think that works for people because Cody can rewatch all of Cowboy Bebop, skip that episode, and still understand all of it and love all of it. Like, there's something for everybody. There's people who probably only like that episode and go back to that, or only like the first part before Faye and Ed, or only like when they're all together. That's what's so great about the show is it's utterly watchable all the time.
Love it.
Okay. All right. Next. So who do you guys think we are in this show? I want to know.
I mean, I know who I am, and I won't get too much into that, but Faye.
Yeah, you're 100% Faye. For not even for like the reasons that people would want to be.
Yeah.
I love that for you though, because I love Faye.
No, Faye.
And I remember, like, as I was watching this, I was like, that is so Franny. And I was like picturing Franny in these situations, and I was like, I want Franny to replace the live action actress
for sure.
And her epic destiny of realizing that like her past doesn't need to define her and she can move on and still like live a happy, full life is something like I'm currently learning in my life, and I think is such a great message, and it really resonated with me. And I like that she's a bad bitch that doesn't give a fuck.
You know what my favorite Faye episode is? When you see the first time she's woken up and she has that boyfriend and you think he died, and then he comes back and he's all fat and sweaty and gross. Do you remember that?
No, I don't.
You don't know what I'm talking about? Yeah, you do.
Okay, I do.
She wakes up and it's like, you've been cryogenically frozen. You owe us $1 gajillion.
Yes, I remember that.
And then that dude gives her all of his debt on purpose because he fakes his death.
Yep.
And you think, oh no, she lost the love of her life, but like he's just a fucking scamming fat asshole. Love that episode.
Yeah.
Love it. So good. But yeah, that's a great Faye episode for sure. Cody, who do you think you are?
I think I am
Vicious's bird. No, I'm just kidding.
no. I'm gonna say either Julia or maybe Ed. Like, there's some things there.
I definitely see Julia more than Ed for sure. I think Julia makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay.
I see Julia
I
too.
see Julia too, yeah. I don't know. That's a tough one. I have both Spike and Jet energy.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I'd say I would lean toward Spike. Or no, sorry, lean toward Jet more so.
I agree with that.
But I definitely have Spike isms.
Yeah.
So it's tough because I don't think of myself as like emotionally the stable house that Jet is. You know what I mean? Like, he's so fucking level-headed that it's insane. I think that's where I'm kind of like, that's where the miss is. But overall, like, as far as like Jet's demeanor and like even his sense of humor, I definitely fit that better.
Yeah, but I think like what drives Spike is closer to like things that would drive you.
Somewhere in the middle.
Yeah.
Somewhere, maybe Ein. What's great about these characters though is like they're not easily definable, really. Like I think Franny fits Faye so well because like it's such a specific fit. You know what I mean? Like they're not broad characters. They're very much exactly them.
Definitely.
You know what I mean? Like,
definitely.
I'm never confused about what Spike's gonna do. I just know that I don't always want him to do it, or I'm not always like, you know, like with Jet. Like, Jet's always bitching about like, you guys are doing this, you guys are doing that, but he's always gonna welcome them. Like, it's never gonna change. I mean, they've literally robbed him before, and he's been like, all right, because he's just a nice guy. He's like, okay. Fuck.
I like the moment when Faye sees like that person from her past that recognizes her, and then like she's back on Earth where she grew up, and she runs into this person that says like she graduated with her, because Faye was frozen as like a 22, 23-year-old in like
I think
the
it was
year
younger
like
than that. I think it was like 19 or something.
19.
But she's aged since. You know?
She's aged since. So she's like, but she's like from like the year 2021.
Yep.
Which is nuts.
Yep.
But
that's when it happened, 2021.
Yeah.
She flew to Mars in 2021 and crashed.
She flew to Mars and crashed. But so she runs into this lady that like graduated with her, and she's an old lady now, and her granddaughter runs up, and like that old lady's about to like introduce her and be like, oh, like you'll never guess who this is, and she's like, oh, just a ghost from the past, and walks away. Like, I just love that. That's so strong, and like she doesn't feel the need to sit there and like
explain.
Yeah, she's unapologetically who she is now.
Now, the ultimate question, and I think this is one that is pretty divided amongst the Bebop fans. Are you happy that it ended the way it did, or do you wish there was more?
I am happy it ended the way it did. I like the way it ended. I wish. I think if there was more, it would have to be like maybe like an Ed story or like Faye
so
story.
Like if you could have more in the middle. I'm not asking about adding to the end. I think the end is not. I think nobody debates that the end is like a perfect ending for what it was.
Yeah.
I'm asking if you could add more substance in the middle, like let's say like 10 more episodes mixed in the middle. Would you do that or would you not?
There's such strong episodes though.
But there's only 26 of them.
I mean, why fix what ain't broke, you know? What do you guys think?
Man, that's an opinion, I guess. What do you think, Cody?
I think that if you were going to add more episodes, I don't think it would have worked as well in an episodic way, like how you can kind of pick up no matter what. I kind of like that we have a more shorter condensed season and it's like that. I think if we added more, I'd want there to be some more like connecting threads. Yeah,
I think like it was a purely artistic choice to make it as short as it was, because it wasn't like anybody was saying, "Oh, it's dragging on too long," or "Oh, I just want to see what the ending is." I feel like fans of it, even at the time of which it was being released, were like, "What? There's only going to be this many episodes left? Like, what do you mean?" Because when an anime or even really a TV show is hitting hard like that, like just absolutely on all cylinders, is super popular, the natural inclination is, what about season 2? What about season 3?
Yeah.
And the creator was just like, I want this to just like be its own. It's like an album. It's just this one thing, and you get you get what you need from it, but like if you have a hunger for these characters, I mean, obviously more has come since, but at the time it's like, no, you just get this time. That's why it's so special. You just have this little short period of time. I have mixed feelings about it. I think that there definitely could have been more episodes. I think that there's just a lack of connectivity sometimes where it just like it does play like it's a random episode written to just fit the spot. But at the same time, it's like, well, I talk about wanting to change it, but I don't know how the fuck they could have made it better. It's, by the way, for me, the show is literally a 10 out of 10. It is a perfect anime. It's the godfather of animes. It does obviously have issues that any show struggles from, you know, but at the same time, it's like, dude, is there a more concise, better paced show? I can't think of very many. There's a few that are like in the realm of this show. But it's really like a magical piece. It's its own genre. It literally like is its own genre.
I mean, there's a reason people are talking about it 20 years later still.
Absolutely. Yeah. So what would you give it, Franny? The whole show?
The whole show? 10 out of 10.
Because at the beginning of the next one, we have to give because we fucked up there. But you give it a 10 out of 10?
10 out of 10, for sure.
Cody?
I would give it a 10 out of 10.
Wow.
Minus episode 20, right?
Minus episode 20. Because of episode 20, it gets a 9.9. Fuck you.
I don't even know if that works out mathematically. I think it would be like... I guess it would be like a 9.999 or something.
It did it so well, but I hated it so much. That's why I knocked off a 0.1. You know,
are you
like
gonna,
it should have been less, but like no, it's a 10. It's a 10.
Are you gonna give it a rewatch minus that episode at some point?
I think potentially, yeah. Like I think I kind of want to sit with it a little bit longer before I go back to it.
Yeah, I'm watching it years later. And I thought I would just come to be like, I'm expecting this. You know, the pacing's not going to be as good because I'm expecting this. But I think I like it even more.
I am excited to rewatch.
Mm-hmm. So everybody give it a 10 out of 10. Let's just go ahead and take a quick break, and then we'll jump into the live action. What was that? Hey, looking for more content? Check out Crosscut Cinema, where me, Franny, and my friends review movies. Or check out a pilot podcast. We review TV pilots with recording artist CL Blue. Or hey, check out me hanging out with my friends on Average Joe Interviews. Socials and links are in the bio. Thanks, guys.
Hey guys, it's CL. I just wanted to come on and say that I have a brand new album. It's coming out on October 22nd, and if you're hearing this, that means it's out now. It's called Scorpio. I'm super excited about it. It's something very different, very experimental for me. It's entirely just based on stories that I've written or real life experiences or people that I know. And I really hope you guys like it. It has songs Big Night In on it, and also my brand new song Scorpio, which I'm really excited about. If you are interested, you can listen to it on all streaming platforms. Wherever you get your music at, you can find it there. Thanks so much.
And we're back.
Real quick before we get into anything, I'm sorry we're having to do this, but we're going to put it after the spoilers. So this is going to be like a tiny little moment here. We gave the pilot for the Cowboy Bebop anime. I give it a 10 out of 10.
10 out of 10.
Franny.
10 out of 10.
For Cowboy Bebop?
Yep.
Is that a first? Is that the first time we've ever rated something a 10?
I'm thinking Invincible was probably a 10 straight around, but I don't remember.
Oh, I think you might.
But I think that this show's better. I think Cowboy Bebop the anime is better than Invincible, if that's what you're asking me. But anyway, let's get to a show that isn't better than Invincible.
A show that isn't better than much.
No, you're giving away. You're selling. What is the term? You're fucking up, Franny. You're fucking up.
I'm fucking up.
Let's slow it down.
All right.
Let's talk about the pilot, and I also want to talk about a bit of the production. So I have been.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, go ahead and do the Wikipedia first. Good idea.
Okay, are you ready for this? It's super scandalous. Okay, Cowboy Bebop is an American science fiction streaming television series, live action adaptation of the 1998 Japanese anime series of the same name. Stars John Cho, Mustafa Shakir, Daniela Pineda, Elena Satine, and Alex Hassel. 10-episode series was released on November 19th, 2021. And then Wikipedia literally says it was criticized for its writing, narrative, special effects, editing, and direction of action scenes, but was praised for its cast.
Wow. I literally couldn't disagree with Wikipedia more. That's insane.
Yeah.
I know.
Okay.
Well,
No, there's definitely like holy shit. There's definitely things that like okay. All right. Let me go over some of this production stuff. Okay, so I've been looking forward to the show like crazy. We literally planned this whole review around this show coming out. And a part of the reason for that is obviously I'm a huge Cowboy Bebop fan, but also I'm actually a huge John Cho fan. I love Searching.
Same.
I love Searching. I love Harold and Kumar. I think that dude is a wildly talented leading man. And when I was told that he was cast as Spike, first, I always thought that Spike was drawn in more of a Western style. So I never thought we had to be someone who was like an Asian of descent. Like he could have been like Caucasian. He could have been black. I think that he was drawn so blankly that he could have been represented by anybody. But I like the fact that they chose John Cho because I love him as an actor. And I think they pretty much nailed the look. And might I also say, before we get into like the pilot and everything, it's Mustafa Shakir, right?
Yeah.
That dude fucking nails Jet. That dude's Jet, bro.
Oh,
that dude fucking nails it. Nails it. And Danielle Pineda, is that how you pronounce her name? How do you pronounce her name?
Daniela Pineda, I think.
Daniela Pineda. Sorry, my apologies. She's fucking horrendous, but we'll get into all that with the
I don't think it's necessarily her fault. I think the character,
I don't know, man. I think it might be a little bit her fault.
Maybe.
We'll talk about it.
Yeah.
So let's talk about the pilot. I'll start with the good things. The introduction sequence is fucking stellar, bro. The casino sequence, I love. Granted, I'm getting right off the bat with, like, in that scene that I'm not fully buying John Cho's Spike, but I don't think that that's because of anything he necessarily did wrong. I think in that situation, it had more to do with the writing. Like, the thing that kind of made Spike awesome in the anime is, like, yes, he is, like, the leading man or whatever, but he always operates as an ensemble. He never feels like he's got lead character energy, like, not on purpose anyway. It's more the situations he's put in. This take on Spike is more like, I'm the lead character of this story, and there's something that just doesn't rub me, like, it just rubs me the wrong way with that. But still, I think the action sequences that were therein, it's really hard to choreograph the way they did in the anime because the anime works like a choreographed dance because it's all jazz and everything. With this, I see why people be like, I don't like the action sequences because they're so slowed down and they're so like overly dramatic and overdrawn. But for me, that's what worked because that's what the fighting style was for the show. And that's what made it really stand out. And I think they did a pretty good job. There's definitely moments where I was like, can we speed this up a little bit? That would have just really been an act of editing, not so much movement, because I feel like the physical actions and the choreography displayed even in the opening sequence was really good. Jet is instantly Jet. I do not mistake him. For the people who are like, I don't know about Jet being a black guy. Dude, Jet's always had black guy energy, first off. Second off,
Definitely.
This fucking dude is the best actor in the show. I mean, he completely, like, just melts into being Jet. And, like, I totally buy him as Jet. 100%. And you get that in the opening sequence where he's, like, annoyed with Spike. He's like, hey, like, we need to do things the right way. Like, there's this whole scene where, like, they're talking to the guys who are, like, causing this heist, and this dude has a really dangerous gun. And Jet's basically, like, telling Spike, like, listen, dude, this fucking shit's gonna blow up the whole... We're all gonna die if you act like an asshole. And Spike's like, nah, I'm gonna act like an asshole. Which isn't a Spikeism. It isn't. Like, Spike would do...
He's sly.
He would do dangerous shit, but he wouldn't act like that. But Jet reacting that way to Spike and being like, listen, that has always been the calm, like, level-headedness of that character. Totally buy it. Aside from, like, a couple of not so well-landed jokes in that opening sequence, I was very excited for what the show was going to be. And then it was what it was. Then it turned out to be what it was. I feel like if you haven't seen Cowboy Bebop before, you might say the show is watchable and okay. But if you have seen it before, I think it's even that much worse. Because, guys, it's kind of bad, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
it pisses me off.
The pacing is obviously something that like I knew was going to be different because you're dealing in live action. You need to draw out these action scenes more. Like to have John Cho play Spike and then to give it a season like in Cowboy Bebop's animated, like in the anime, to like make it like that, you would need John Cho for 2 days because things are so cut and split together really quickly, and expensive things are on display that they need to make the most out of the interiors and exteriors they were creating. So like the casino scene is a really great use of that space, but as time goes on in the show, you're put in spaces that were like 5 seconds in the show and are 20 minutes on screen, and it's fucking boring. Like Spike walking around looking for this dude in Tijuana was fucking boring, and the music was corny. And I understand that the original music person was on this, and like, you know, she did a great job, obviously, but at the same time, it's like, you know, you didn't give her a lot to work with, like when you're just pacing around in Tijuana asking people if they've seen somebody. And the jokes there within too were flat as fuck, guys. Like, oh my God, this was a really messy pilot, and it's essentially the same pilot as the original anime, except it's filled with bad shit. It has a terrible, sloppy introduction of Faye. I mean, I'm talking a lot. What did you guys think of the pilot? Because I honestly was so fucking disappointed. It was crazy.
Yeah. So I was the same as you, in which the casino scene happened, and I remember thinking like, okay, this doesn't feel the same, but it feels like it could be something really great. And I really loved it. Like, I think the visuals were amazing, and I think that just the idea of them going in, and I was actually really excited about the idea of getting different stories with these characters after just watching the anime.
Mm-hmm.
And then we went directly into like one of the most iconic anime pilots, and then it's just done so fucking poorly that I was bored. Like, I literally was having to fight the urge to scroll through my phone, and I actively watch things. I make sure I'm paying attention and catching on to detail and things like that. But with this, I was so bored. Like, the acting was super meh by a majority of the people they had cast. Mm-hmm. It didn't feel believable for me. Like, any of the connection between, I'm blanking on her name right now. But like her connection with Spike didn't feel right, and then her connection with her lover didn't feel right. Then don't even get started on the whole Faye Valentine thing. I was like kind of pissed that they introduced her in that way, and then it was just kind of shrugged. I hated it. And
then she's like, okay, so the thing about Faye, and I really fucking mean this, guys. Faye is a great character in this anime. She might literally be my favorite character. I go back and forth between her, Spike, and Jet. And that's what's so great about the anime is you can find something to love about all of them. And sometimes Edward. No, I'm just kidding. I love Edward too, but obviously to a lesser degree. Yeah. The issue is that they didn't care about making her Faye. They wanted to make her fucking, you know, she's a foul-mouthed, badass bitch. But she's also like really what she really is at her core is an annoying teenage girl. And that's never what Faye was supposed to be. Faye is never annoying. She's perpetually annoyed.
Yeah.
She is the character who's annoyed by people, not the character who annoys people. And that's 100. And it turned her into a Mary Sue. I'm sorry to say it. You know, it turned her in this character that isn't at all the main character. And it's crazy because they really fucking nailed the shit out of Jet. And they did what they could with Spike. I understand that, like, you know, maybe it's a casting issue, maybe it's something else, but like Spike wasn't exactly it either. But he was much fucking closer. Yeah,
Faye was an insult.
Faye was like the incels version of what Faye is.
Yeah.
Like, dudes you can't get fucked. Or like, girls are just annoying and curse and say fuck you and like get mad about being tied to toilets. Like, if the scene where Faye was on the toilet was like, can you find me a bigger, more disgusting toilet? I promise you, the Faye that actually exists in the anime, the character that I care about, would just try charming them.
Yeah.
And being like utterly likable because she knows that she's fucking tied to a toilet.
Yeah.
She wouldn't be like, fuck you. Blah, blah, blah. She would be like, guys, here's the thing is I'm really great at this, this, and this. And if you guys let me go, like, she's smart.
Yeah.
She's not going to be like, fuck you to her captors or try to steal their weapon and shit. Unless, like, the scenario was absolutely for certain that she would get away. And with this, it's like she stole the weapon and then hung out with them and gave him the weapon back and was like, you're a dick. And it's like, what the fuck is this? Who the fuck is this character? I hate it. And the thing is I was super on the side of this actress because originally when it was announced that she was going to be cast, people were like, she doesn't look right. She doesn't have the big tits. And I was like, that's stupid. And she like went on YouTube and like posted a video and was like, listen, I'm sorry I don't have gigantically, ridiculous tits, but I really like the character and I understand the story and da-da-da. And I was like, and I was really excited. And I was like, thank God. Like, I'm so glad that not only did she like approach the unrealistic body images that Faye has, and like, I'm sorry, that's a part of idealistic art. I mean, they're going to draw somebody who's physically not real. I mean, nobody really looks like Spike either.
Yeah, exactly.
So, and I mean, they kind of nailed Jet, but that's besides the point. But my point being is like, yes, I'm glad that she approached that and said like, don't be upset that I don't have fucking size triple E's. Be happy that I understand the character. I'm going to portray it correctly. And then she fucking doesn't. And I'm like, well, fuck. Way to waste my fucking time. Like, damn it. Like, you guys took something that was like, there are people begging for new storylines, and what you do is you just make a new show to rehash the old ones. Just make something new. Like, people are begging for new storylines. There's so many ways you could take this. You could even reintroduce Faye in a different way, but still have it be the same character. I mean, like, that's what they did with all the fucking, like, if you look at like Dragon Ball Z movies, sorry, weird sideline, but if you look at the Dragon Ball Z films, none of them are canon to the show. And they do reintroduce characters as if you've never met them before or put them in different situations. And then they just like write a good story so you don't fucking have to think about it. Like, you don't have to worry about Cowboy Bebop continuity and like start over and make sure like you understand this is a new continuity. Just like make a story that's based somewhere in the middle of the show in many of their different adventures. Have the whole cast already on display and just make a show. Or if you have to reintroduce them, make it true to their character. Don't come up with something new and bastardize it. I hate the fucking Spike's name is Fearless bullshit. It's stupid.
So dumb.
There's so much dumb shit they added.
Everything they changed about the characters
Giving
fucking
giving
sucks.
Jet a kid, tying him down in this weird way, making him a cuck to a weird police officer. All things that don't need to happen. It's like literally, like not like literally. I feel like the creator was being a little racist because they go, okay, we have Jet Black now. Well, now he has to be an absentee father. What the fuck's wrong with you? Like, why would you write that to be the storyline? Why even change anything about Jet? You nailed it with the actor. Just let him be Jet in the way that Jet was written. Don't write dumb shit to like try to further complicate the plot. You only have 10 episodes and you're telling me the same shit.
And like you said, isn't it advertised as like the Lost Sessions or something? And then, like,
no, I found out that was a choice with the trailer. The trailer house put Lost Sessions. But that was their independent choice.
Oh, well, that's stupid.
I mean, you outsource these things, you know? They had someone else make that trailer. And that's why that trailer was also totally new content that wasn't like in the show, the trailer. And let me tell you something. The Cowboy Bebop live action trailer is better than the whole show.
I agree. Wholeheartedly agree.
We didn't watch all the episodes, but what do you have to say positively about the pilot?
Positively.
It's fucking hard, man, because it makes you so mad that when you even like something, you're like, well, fuck, I have to deal with that, though.
I like the opening scene. Is that good enough?
Opening scene was really good. I think if you guys are Cowboy Bebop fans, just find the opening sequence on YouTube or just watch the first part of it on Netflix, and then as soon as you're done with the new intro, because I like the new intro, too. I like how it's basically the same. But this time it's put in 4K and it's put in widescreen. You know, it's not in that same box, and it looks gorgeous. The new opening looks great. And then after that, stop watching.
I agree.
Franny, anything else to add to the pilot that you saw?
I'm just insulted by it. I don't fucking like it. I'm mad that I had to watch it.
We're still gonna get into spoilers because
I didn't watch the rest of the show. Logan was like, "Do you want to watch it after this?" And I've been sick, so like I didn't have as much time as we thought I would originally. And I was like, no, I don't want to fucking watch this.
I watched the second episode and I watched some clips. The reason why I stopped watching the show was also because I've been kind of sick, but also there's an extra layer to it. Is like I'm somebody who needs to actively watch things to critique them, and this show's so fucking boring that I can't actively watch it. Like, genuinely, I've tried. And it's so boring. I mean, last night I was telling Frani, like, I got 16 more minutes and I was treating it like I was going to Iraq. I was treating it like I was being fucking sent somewhere. Another thing about the pilot, they introduce Julia and Vicious. I think Vicious is fucking stupid and weird in this show. Yep. I think he looks bad. I think he's not menacing at all. I think that he's kind of a fucking goober. He comes off like Robbie Rodden from Lazy Town. Also, there's another Lazy Town thing I want to say that's related after we get to the spoilers. but if you've seen Lazy Town, you've seen Cowboy Bebop live action.
Yeah. I don't like how they had Julia like be Vicious's like
lady. Yeah. And the fucking weird. Corny ass fucking tattoo. The shitty ass tattoo that you'd get at like you'd get like drunk at like spring break in Florida, like the shitty ass rose tattoo on her all over her back. Could they have more yelled like, "This is Julia. This is this is the lady he likes and boned once while he had a man bun." Like, I get it. It's Julia. I understand. I get it. He said Julia. I understood who that was. You said it already, so I get it.
Yeah, we didn't have to give her a shitty rose tattoo.
Hated the bartender character. She was racist. Yeah. Not cool. Not cool to be racist. And she wasn't funny. Hated every person he interacted with on the streets in TJ. I kind of liked his conversation with what's her face when she's like, "Can you help me smoke this?" But at the same time, they were already drawing such heavy conclusions of like their connection, and it's like, we didn't earn it. Like, all you did was talk to this bitch for 12 seconds and then get in a fight with an unrelated bounty hunter. And adding Faye to that scene eliminates, because what originally happens is this girl is like tricking him while the boyfriend comes up and gives him the sneak attack, and that's hyper effective, right? But what they changed the scene into is like, now she's this this super rich person's daughter, and now Faye is the one who interrupts the bounty, and it's like, why? Can't we just like...
And they never touch it again. Awful.
It's a 40-minute episode. All you have to do to give me Faye is just have her related to another piece of the episode. Like, there's so many reasons why she could be there if you want to introduce her in the first episode. You landed in TJ. TJ's a bad place. She's robbing your ship. Boom, there's Faye. Why does it have to be that she's already a bounty hunter? She literally wasn't in the show. She was a card trickster and a thief.
Yeah, she was
and that's
why
she was really fucking good as a bounty hunter, because she had these skills that the other two didn't have. Now she's just good at shooting guns too. Big fucking whoop. And she's got a manic pixie dream girl haircut. Great.
Yeah.
Sorry. I just think that Zooey Deschanel could have done just about as good of a job, and I fucking hate watching her and stuff that isn't New Girl. Because it's just like, oh great, Zooey Deschanel. This girl was basically playing if Zooey Deschanel was playing Faye. That's exactly what she was doing.
Yeah, I agree.
It was fucking terrible. All right, I'm gonna give the pilot a fucking 2 out of... No, I'll be generous. That opening intro was actually really good. I'm gonna give it a 4 out of 10 for the fact that I'm a Cowboy Bebop fan and I've been wanting more content, and I can't just full on say that I'm like absolutely disappointed they tried. I was very excited for them to try. It just sucks that it sucks. Like, I want it to be good. If anybody wanted to be good, it was fucking me, bro. I was the most excited about the show. So I'm gonna give it a 4 out of 10 based on the fact that I love John Cho. They nailed Jet. They gave me something that's Cowboy Bebop. And that intro was good, if I didn't already say that.
I completely agree with you actually on the rating. It's like just below average because I had better expectations for it. And there are some things I like you said, John Cho, the casting of Jet. But yeah, there's just so much bad. There's so much bad.
And one more thing about the pilot before Cody rate it. It pissed me off that there's this iconic scene in the original anime. I won't give you context of when it happens, but basically Vicious goes, "You're going to cry scarlet tears." And then he cuts the eyeballs of the person, like that part of their face, their eyes, just slices it with a sword. He says that to a character and then slices his neck. I mean, how fucking hard is it to get that right?
Right.
How fucking hard is that? It's literally like, it doesn't even make any sense. You'll cry scarlet tears, and then he cuts his throat. I'm sorry, do you cry from your throat, bro? Bruh? Fucking dumb. Such an easy thing. Anyway, Cody, your rating of the pilot.
I actually agree with your guys' rating. I'm going to say a 4. I enjoy looking at Spike in the anime. I enjoy looking at John Cho. combined with John Cho being in the Spike suit, I had a good time.
They nailed that Spike suit.
They really did, and the hair. I think the hair was nailed too.
Mm-hmm.
I really liked the opening scene. I really liked the opening credits. I actually did like the soundtrack. There were parts where I was like, I don't feel like this really fits with what's happening, but I did really like the score of it.
I liked the score except for the scene where he's walking around Tijuana and he's looking, and it keeps flashing forward to, like, it keeps flashing to, like, his wingtips, like his shoes walking, and then flashing to people that are in Tijuana, and then flashing to his wingtips. The music in that scene is so fucking monotonous. It feels like I'm in like a Nintendo waiting room from hell. It is though.
You ain't wrong.
Doesn't mean I don't love the music. Obviously, the music's fucking great. I mean, it's the same person who made the like legacy building Cowboy Bebop original. So, all right, so let's talk about spoilers then. Franny, you ready to annotate that we're about to talk about spoilers?
Yes.
Right about now? You good? Okay, we're talking about it. All right. Okay. Okay, so I want to talk about the very end right away.
Okay.
Ed.
Yeah, okay.
Ed.
Fucking atrocious.
It's like it's from Lazy Town. It's like it's from fucking Lazy Town, bro.
We like saw a spoiler video about it or something, and like just saw like a clip of Ed, and it was fucking bad. And
like the thing is the other problem is I know this is this actress's first big job, and I feel bad shitting on her because I don't really think it's her fault. When you write a character like Ed into a live action, you need to tone down its anime-isms. Like, you need to have that character be more believable. Like, in the same way that Faye wasn't right because they tried to animate her up too much. The issue is that I think they were too faithful to how Ed was and made it annoying. And the other issue is they should have made it like a 12 to 13-year-old.
Yeah,
dude,
why is she so old?
She's in it for what, maybe 2 minutes at the end of that episode?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
It felt like fucking 20 minutes. It was, God, I wanted to claw my eyes out.
And it's supposed to be this big fan moment because, I mean, there are people who like Ed, but did they not consider the fact that Ed is also the most polarizing character in Cowboy Bebop anyway? Like, regardless, like, people don't like her always. People have different opinions. I know people who watch the show who hate Ed. I know people who hate that character. So what you're going to do is you're going to have your big, like, this is what's going to lead us into the next season moment. And it's Ed just being fucking annoying and weird and, like, the worst acting I've ever seen. And yet again, not the actress's fault. But also, you're ignoring the legacy that is Ed. Ed is one of the most classic non-binary characters in anime history, and you make it straight up a chick, unquestionably.
Yeah.
That's fucking annoying. Why would you do that? I understand that that's what it was in the anime, but also the anime played with the idea a little bit, and it was simply just because of standards and practices. You couldn't put a non-binary character in a mainstream show, but now you fucking can, and you don't? It's super annoying. And she's super annoying. Like, literally, she doesn't even need to have fucking red hair. Like, do you understand? Like, they could have really played down who Ed was.
Definitely.
Yeah. They could have made it like a real quiet, emo, fucking non-binary kid who was great at hacking, and then boom, you have an interesting character to pull into the fold.
And who would be relatable.
Exactly. Instead, they have fucking what's-her-face from Lazy Town doing splits and shit in front of Muppets. Like, it's fucked up. It's stupid. And I felt like the dog actor, you know, the little Ein, I felt like Ein was super annoyed with her on screen. I could see it. The dog was like, this person's annoying.
There were 2 dog actors, actually.
Oh, I know. That's correct. I saw the behind the scenes. I knew that.
Yeah. I feel like the final episode should have ended when he fell out of the window. Everything after that point, I was like, why the fuck are we here?
And that was a great stopping point in the anime, too. I mean, that was the mid-season break, you know? Like, after his first fight with Vicious, that was when there was like a 2-week or 3-week break when it was airing, at least on Toonami. I don't know about when it was airing in Japan or anything. But for me, that was when I had to take a break. And it was like super fucked up because like, holy shit, that dude just fell out of a window. And then instead they're like, well, you know what? He's totally fine. Let's go ahead and throw in this fucking Nickelodeon Jr. character to be like, I'm hiring you. Ooh, aren't I quirky? Like, shut the fuck up. I'm sorry. It makes me mad. It fucks up. It literally like shits on the character that is Ed in the original.
And there's also the whole scene with Jet in which Jet's like, if I ever see you again, I'm going to fucking kill you. And it's like, well, why don't you just have it in season 2 when he runs into Jet again, Jet freaking attacks him? I feel like that would have been a much juicier thing when you're like, oh shit, Jet turned on him? Whoa, wasn't expecting that. Also, where the hell is Faye? Where'd she go?
For us, Cody, I'm totally blind to what you're saying, but I imagine is the reason why Jet's mad he found out that he used to be in the Syndicate?
Yes, that's the whole reason.
That's the dumbest fucking reason, too.
He put his daughter at risk because his daughter was kidnapped by Vicious and the Syndicate.
Oh.
And they had to get the daughter back, and they thought they were going to outsmart the Syndicate when like they just put Spike in the trunk, and then they tried to shoot their way out. But then it turns out they were all just holograms anyway, and they weren't actually there.
That's terrible. Did they literally... Was the daughter invented just so they could have a reason for Jet to get upset? Because... The thing that's so annoying about this is they draw this weird line where Jet, for some reason, is super harping and upset about the idea of Spike having that in his past. And it just doesn't fit the character. The idea of Jet in general is like, okay, I'm on a reset just like you. And like he doesn't judge. That's the great part about the character. He never judges anybody. He just treats it all equally.
He has a reason to be like, oh, now I have to be a moral high ground, even though I usually don't judge people. And that bothers the shit out of me. Like, it changes his character dynamic so much, and I hate it.
And then the other thing, too, is with episode 2, which is one I did watch, there was this whole thing about, like, he goes back and he finds that lady who, like, is essentially the convenience store lady from the anime, but is owner of a jazz club and has a bunch of television screens. So stupid.
Who I actually liked. I actually kind of liked her character, if I'm honest.
I thought that it just didn't make a lot of sense.
I agree with that.
Like, it's like, why are you watching everybody? It's not that I'm like, I don't get why she's a good character. It's like, I don't understand why she has that ability or how she hasn't been caught. I mean, like, are people fucking morons and they can't see a camera lens to save their life? Aren't they ever wondering what she's doing in the back? Or like people are just assuming she's back there fapping all day? Like, why does nobody knock, come in, see the TV screens? It's stupid. But not the point. My point is she's talking, or he's talking to her about like, I'm not the guy from the Syndicate anymore. Don't call me fearless, which is so dumb. I can't believe anybody thought that'd be a good change. But then also, he goes, I can't tell Jet because he's an ex-cop. He hates the syndicates. He also hates the cops. He hates everybody. Like, what do you mean you can't tell him that? Why is that a reason? Last time I checked, he literally talked to a cop the episode before that was fucking his wife. And he's like, I hate cops. Why would he? Why would he hate the syndicate so much?
I know, right? Spike kind of makes him believe that, well, I guess Jet brings it up himself, but he's like, oh, I see your past trauma. I see all this stuff going on with you. And he makes the assumption that Spike's a veteran and he has like this huge respect for him. And I think that's why he kind of hates him so much, is he also lied about the fact that he was not out there like saving people's lives and fighting for his like nation, but he was like actually murdering it in the hindrance.
Terrible.
But it just still didn't work. Along with, can we talk about Julia? Do you know all the stuff with Julia?
I don't. All I know is that she was with Vicious, and then Vicious, this was episode 2 when this happened. Vicious is forced. They like have like they're like, if you want to continue with us, if you want to not die, you have to kill Julia. And he shoots his gun at her, but it's empty. And then he still tries to win her over. Like, I knew it was empty. The weight was wrong. She's like, you're full of shit, Vicious. You got a small dick. Like, she's like so over him at that moment. He's like, fuck. Okay, whatever. Fuck you. Don't call me. Don't say I'm not a man. So, he literally has like a fucking 1970s exploitation film moment where he grabs her by the throat and he goes, never say I'm not a man. What the fuck? Who is this? This is not Vicious. If you backtalk Vicious, you'd just be dead. That's it.
Agreed.
Also, if you tried to get Vicious to kill someone he didn't want to, he would kill everybody else in the room. Yeah. We're at an hour and 44, so let's get your point across and then we'll wrap it up.
Okay. The only compliment I'll give about Vicious real quick is that he does have a very punchable face. He does make you hate him,
Yeah.
even though he's not like he's not great in this role. It's awful. But anyway, Julia, they fucked Julia up. I wanted to burn the show to the ground because yes, they gave Julia more things to do, and I really wish they had done that in the anime. I would have liked to have more Julia, but they made Julia this soft little like I wish I was a pop star girl. And I'm not like the other girls. I date evil guys, and I'm gonna fuck his best friend behind your back. Oh no! So basically, what happens is her life is she's meant to die, and she escapes because one of the other syndicate members sees that she's really in love with quote unquote Fearless, and is like, "You should go to him." So she sabotages like this car, and they crash, and she runs away and meets up with Vicious and Spike at the church in that final scene. Do you want to know how Spike falls out the window?
How?
She shoots him.
Oh my god.
Because
Of course.
she, like, they tell each other that they love each other, and then she goes, okay, here's the gun. You should shoot Vicious so that you can take your place at the crown of the syndicate. And he's like, no, I told you I don't want to be part of this. This is why I left. And she's like, what? So she shoots him because she's just as enamored with the power as Vicious is.
So they ruined the character.
They ruin the character and the whole entire fucking point of Julia.
Yeah, definitely. That's horrible.
She is the character in this show. It's awful.
Yeah, that sucks. That makes me mad. That definitely ruins any chance of me wanting to watch this.
Yeah.
I was hoping that like you'd say good things, Cody, and like it'd make me like want to watch it maybe. But like
No.
yeah, no, that
No, it's
that
just
fucking
bad.
sucks.
I'm only thankful to her because we get to see John Cho's ass at one point, and that's it.
That's amazing. I do want to say there's a meme going around about the show right now, and it's a scene where there's a woman talking to Jed, and she's like, blah, 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 blah. And he goes, is that blackmail? She's like, oh, you are most certainly black, and you are most certainly male. And I'm just like,
Yeah,
that pretty much sums up how bad the whole show is, I think. I think
that
it just,
character's awful.
it's like someone trying to get jazz, and they just don't get it. That's what it feels
Yeah.
like. It feels like whoever made this understands the chemical side of Cowboy Bebop, like the idea that it's in space and they're bounty hunters and like they see wacky things and there's like a teddy bear the teddy bear guy was also terrible, by the way, but that's besides the point.
Agreed.
But the main thing that they're getting across is like they understand what Cowboy Bebop is, but they don't understand why it's so good.
Yeah.
And it sucks because, man, I know that there's plenty of talented people out there who could have taken this show and done something real with it.
Yep.
But it also boils down to like, I'm convinced that all the actors and actresses, aside from the girl who played Faye, were doing their best. Like, I really do think that.
I think so too.
Because they really seem to give a fuck even in the most horrible and ridiculously bad situations.
I will say I should give some compliments. I feel like the VX stuff, like all of everything that was like visual effects was actually really great. I did like it.
Especially for the budget too, you know?
Exactly. I was like, even if they didn't have a big budget, they did it well. And then I also want to give a shout out to character design, like costume designing and set designing, because this world does feel very lived in. It feels very real. And even if like they fucked up the story, I think as a visual art piece, it's entertaining.
Yeah, I'd argue that like the critiques that they said on Wikipedia are almost the opposite of how I feel.
Agreed.
Because if I was to cast this again, I might change John Cho. I'll definitely change Faye. But I'm like, dude, that Mustafa guy is fucking Jet. Like, he literally is Jet.
Yeah, I would just change the whole daughter arc.
Yeah, I would take out the things that aren't Jet.
Yeah.
I would just make him Jet, just like the one in the show, because that's what he was trying to be, clearly. And just write stories that make sense. Is the serial killer guy in this? Because I've heard that people were saying that was an element. Yeah. Is it good or bad?
It's bad, and instead of being afraid of cats, he's afraid of dogs, so he gets triggered by Ein.
Cheap and bad.
Yep, it's bad.
Well, because they didn't want to give John Cho 2 different colored eyes because it'd be so obvious. People would be like, "Why do you have a blue eye? What the fuck?"
Yeah.
And they could just have a contact in and make it like a little different color.
Yeah, definitely.
Because his eyes aren't like super different in the
No, they're
anime.
All right.
brown. Yeah.
This is one I want to get by real fast because we're running out of time.
Yeah.
Guys, who would you cast?
Ooh, I want to go last.
Oh, I have no idea.
Damn, y'all just got nothing.
Fuck, I didn't think about that.
All right, fine.
No, I wasn't thinking about that at all.
I think for Spike, I have like a couple of ideas. I really think that Ryan Gosling, even though like people would be like laughing at that, I feel like that dude's really good at like excreting cool from like every orifice.
Yeah, that's a good point.
If I had to recast John Cho, you know, I would pick like a Ryan Gosling type, or maybe the dude who played Beast in Beauty and the Beast. What's his name? What is his name?
Dan Stevens.
Dan Stevens would be really great. I feel like that dude could fucking nail it. And as far as like Jet goes, I feel like Jet was really fucking good.
Leave him. Do not touch
I
him.
literally think I would leave him because I can't think of anybody who would do it.
Who would you
better.
cast as Faye?
That's where it gets tough. If I could pick like anybody, like Jennifer Lawrence is like someone who comes to the front of my mind.
Yeah, that's a decent one actually, and I don't really even care for her most of the time.
I think that she like totally could pull it off.
Yeah.
Florence Pugh was another person I thought of.
Okay, I like that cast.
That was like my second choice. I love how you thought the same thing too.
Yeah.
And then if you wanted to get like really like kind of out there and like pick somebody you wouldn't expect, like Zoe Kravitz would be really good. If you wanted
Ooh, I weirdly really like that.
Yeah, I feel like that'd be like a great casting choice that nobody would expect.
Oh,
like something that
God.
would change it, but she totally embody. Because the other
Yeah.
thing too is like I feel like whenever I see Zoe Kravitz and stuff, she exudes like that confidence. Like she's gonna make a great Catwoman for sure. Like she's gonna be
I
fucking
feel like-
amazing.
Even Zoe Kravitz in the role of Julia would be really great.
Yeah,
I
I
feel
think.
like she's the next
Yeah,
girl.
with Julia, I would probably pick somebody who, like, you know, somebody you wouldn't expect. Maybe like, what's her face, the chick who plays the girl in Last Night in Soho and Jojo Rabbit. I think you could like totally adult her up.
Taylor-Joy.
Yeah, and no, not Anna Taylor-Joy, the other one, but Anna Taylor-Joy wouldn't be bad either. Or like Saoirse Ronan would be cool, like somebody you wouldn't expect.
Taylor would be great.
Yeah.
Ooh, I actually really like Saoirse now that you said it.
Yeah, imagine like the Little Women reunion where it's Saoirse Ronan and Florence Pugh. But Franny, did you have anyone to add? Because I know we're running out of time here.
No, I really don't. I didn't watch most of it, so I really only had bad things to say about it, honestly. But it sounds like it wouldn't have changed if I would have watched the whole show.
No,
so.
I think the pilot does exactly what it's supposed
Yeah.
to do. In this case, it's
it
like
gives you a taste of what it's going to be.
that's what our job's about. And I
Yeah.
feel like if you listen to just our review of the pilot, you get the whole show anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just real quickly, I want to say I find it very funny that we mentioned Anya Taylor-Joy. I think she would nail this character because of her character in Last Night in Soho. So let us
I
know in
haven't
the
seen it
comments.
yet.
Oh, I'm so excited to see that.
I want to see it so bad. I haven't seen it yet.
I'm not going to say anything. But yeah, leave it in the comments. Let us know like who you would have cast because I'm really interested in that.
Also in the comments, guys, tell Cody to take me to more movies.
Yeah.
Because I don't go to the
Okay.
movies with him. And
Okay, let's go see Eternals right now.
dude, I really want to see it. I haven't seen
Oh my
that
God,
either.
If we weren't sick, we'd so be there.
Oh, I know. That or I like literally don't care. I'm okay with seeing Ghostbusters. Anyway.
We got stuff to plug.
Stuff to plug, Franny,
Where
go.
can they find you guys?
You can listen to me and Logan on another podcast where we talk about movies. It's called Crosscut Cinema. We talk youtube.com/crosscut cinema. It'll also be linked below.
Also, you can check out content that I make on my own, as well as highlight clips from both podcasts, my own personal podcast, whatever it may be, at youtube.com/Logan Tyler. Sorry, Logan Tyler Music, but I'm still dominating the scene, even though I haven't posted there in like 6 months. But like I said, I'm going to start making more clips, things like that. You can check out there. Cody, where can they find you?
I have an album called Scorpio. It's under CL Blue. You can listen to it on all streaming platforms. I also have my own YouTube channel. I'm like 20 subscribers away from my own domain name, so please
Hey!
give me a subscribe. I make new videos every Friday and Saturday. Please do it.
Also, if
Please
you're
do it.
a Critical Role fan, he's got a Critical Role series going on over there. That's really I love it. It's a great analysis of the current season.
Oh, thank you.
is that? Oh, and a Taylor Swift podcast too.
Yeah, Taylor Swift stuff.
That I don't know anything about. Also, Taylor Swift, like Jake Gyllenhaal 10 years ago. I don't understand the relevancy, but that's what you should listen to the podcast for. I just pointed at no one. Anyway.
All too well. Sorry.
All right. Peace out, kids. Love you. Bye.
Bye.
See you, space cowboy.